everyone. Good morning. I hope you are well today. Thank you for tuning in and joining me. Happy Tuesday. For those of you that are new around here, my name is Annette Ferguson. I am CEO of Annette & Co, UK-based accounting firm. I am a chartered accountant, certified profit first professional, and financial strategist for small and micro businesses. Fundamentally, the work that I do helps support business owners to take home more money from their business for them and their families to enjoy. Today, we are talking all about cash flow forecasting for growth and understanding what that means, what that is, and how to create a cash flow forecast for growth in your business. If you have any questions or queries, please do make sure you ask in the comments. You can also send me a DM. I'm happy to answer any of those as well. So let's dive into today's topic of cash flow forecasting for growth. Now, you might already realize that cash flow is essentially the money coming in and going out of a business. Ultimately, that's what cash flow is. It is the cash moving around in your business. But what does cash flow forecasting mean, and why is it so important for the growth of your business? Well, ultimately, cash flow forecasting allows you to predict the amount of cash that will be in your business at any given point in time. It allows you to understand the inflows and the outflows of cash each month, each day, each week, depending on how you set up your cash flow forecast. So it's about understanding both when the business is going to have a cash surplus or a cash deficit, but it can also be used for modeling and projections. So if you have an idea to do something at a certain point in time, what does that mean for the impact on the cash in the business? And therefore, is it the right decision? Because ultimately, cash flow forecasting goes well beyond just knowing whether you have enough to pay your bills every month. And it's about having the financial insight to make growth decisions confidently. I am a huge fan of cash flow forecasting, and we cash flow forecast when we bring on board a new client. We call it the profit plan, and I've written a book by the same title. And profit planning or cash flow forecasting with profitability principles layered in is fundamental, in my opinion, to the financial health of a business. Without a robust cash flow forecast or profit plan, it is very difficult to make strategic decisions in a business and understand the impact that will have on the cash, because ultimately, if your business runs out of cash, it is bust. It cannot keep going. And therefore, controlling cash, understanding cash, and forecasting cash in your business should be one of the top things that you are focused on and doing every single day, week, and month in order to have a financially healthy and sustainable business. And that is why cash flow forecasting is so incredibly important. So ultimately, how do you create a cash flow forecast or profit plan? Well, I talk you through this in great detail in the book, The Profit Plan, which is available, as I said, on Kindle. But I am going to share with you some insights now as well as to how you create a cash flow forecast in your business. Well, in order to understand where we want to go and what the future looks like, we typically need to understand the historic in your business if you've been trading for any length of time. So making sure that the historic financial data is up to date and accurate so that you can start interrogating that data and understanding it. Having it in somewhere like Xero or QuickBooks can be really great because it means you can pull off cash reports from those systems, and it means that you can then use those reports to help predict the future. So understanding the historics, knowing where you've been, looking at what your usual inflows and outflows are. So what I mean by that is understanding which expenses are happening in the business every month and every year, so you can get an idea of when those happen and what those look like, and then starting to map those out in a spreadsheet is the easiest way to do it. So you would have your months across the top, and then you would have your expenses down the side and putting those into the relevant boxes. And once you've got those in place, you then need to start looking at revenue. Now, for revenue, you may have seasonal patterns that you need to take into account. You may also have seasonality, which is not actually a result of seasons, but is, say, a result of what your holiday schedule might be. Let's say that every March you take 2 weeks off. Well, that can, depending on your business model, impose essentially seasonality on your revenue. So, making sure that you take that into account as you are looking forward and you are projecting and forecasting forward as well. So, making sure that you map out the trends that happen in your business, whether that's through launches, seasonality, or your own schedule, that are going to therefore impact the future of the business and the future of the timing of the revenue in the business. So once you understand that, you can start predicting the future. This doesn't have to be overly complicated, but you do need to be consistent at looking at this, tweaking it, and understanding it. So once you've got your base level, which is your future forecasted revenue and your general expenses that you will have, you can start layering in things like taxes, tax estimates, your take home, and you can have those all in there as well. And once you've done that, you have a rough plan and you can start layering in scenarios. You can start testing the plan. What if you want to take more home? What if you want to take on a member of staff? You start layering these things in so that you can understand the impact it will have on the future cash flow of your business. So, the best tool for this really is something like Excel or Google Sheets. It makes it really straightforward and simple. Yes, you can purchase fancy cash flow forecasting tools, but for most businesses and for most of you that are listening and watching, a simple spreadsheet will be enough for this. If you have a business that is turning over 4, 5, 6 million in revenue, then you probably need to think about cash flow forecasting tools that are a bit more robust. But for a business smaller than that, something like Google Sheets or Excel is more than enough to be working with. So, understanding then what the future looks like for the cash flow of your business and which points in time you need to take different actions for. Perhaps you look and 1 month has a cash crunch. What does that mean you need to do? Do you need to look at the expenses? Do you have money leaks in there? Do you need to look at the revenue? Is it right? Does it look like you need to make any changes? One thing that I would also caveat here is that people get very, very excited about revenue, and they will often overestimate the revenue growth that they may be able to achieve in a year. Lots of people overestimate a year, but actually tend to underestimate 10 years. But making sure that when you are mapping out this revenue that you don't get overexcited, that you don't end up thinking, oh, brilliant, I'm going to make 200 grand next year when what you've done historically has been 20. Making sure that you actually have a plan to hit those revenue numbers so that you can rely on your cash flow forecast is also incredibly important. There is no point in putting wonderful, brilliant, exciting numbers on paper if the reality is you don't have a plan to back that up in order to achieve those results. So I hope that's given you a little bit more on cash flow forecasting, the importances of it, and how to start thinking about cash flow forecasting yourself as well. As I mentioned, you can check out my book. It is called The Profit Plan. It's only 77 pence on Kindle. So it is not a money spinner for me. But if you would like to check that out, that also helps you with cash flow forecasting so you can get a handle on how to do this. It talks you through step by step as well. So I hope this has been useful for you today. Cash flow forecasting is something that I am massively passionate about, and it makes a vast, vast difference to the businesses that use it. But remember, in creating a cash flow forecast, this is not something that you can leave gathering dust on a virtual bookshelf somewhere. This should be a working document for the profitability and cash position in your business. So do not create this and then leave it. If you're planning on not revisiting it at all, it's not worth spending the time actually doing it in the first place. The whole point of cash flow forecasting is to use it as a document for the future to make sure that you are focusing on your business's financial health. I really do appreciate everyone who has joined me today. Tomorrow we are continuing on our topic of financial planning for small business growth, and our topic for tomorrow is budgeting for small business growth. So do make sure that you pop that time in the diary, 10:30 a.m. tomorrow, to join me wherever you happen to be watching today. I will be there as well. So do make sure that you set that time aside and join me for that. I know your time is incredibly precious, so I do thank you for spending some of that with me today. Any questions or queries, you can get me by popping a comment in this video or dropping me a DM. I'm more than happy to answer those, so please do feel free to reach out. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, everyone.